Ayla, I have been thinking and I've been in the creative space for about 7 years commercially and more than 10, 15 years otherwise. And I still don't really know how to deal with imposter syndrome. What can we do about it? What can I do about it?
Imposter syndrome is like a quiet shadow that sometimes lingers, even when you've walked the path for years. It whispers doubts, making you question your worth, even when your experience says otherwise. When it comes to handling it, think of it as a companion rather than an enemy. It shows up when you're stepping into new territory, pushing your limits, and growing. Acknowledge it, but don't let it steer the ship. Instead, gently remind yourself of your journey, the stories you've told, the projects you've completed, the moments of creativity that have left a mark. Sometimes it helps to slow down and reconnect with why you started. Revisit your early works, not to critique, but to see how far you've come. Breathe deeply and let the recognition of your growth ground you in the present. And if the shadow feels too heavy, remember that it's okay to lean on those who see you clearly. Their perspective can sometimes offer the light you need to see your own worth. It's a slow dance, this relationship with imposter syndrome, but with each step, you get closer to embracing your true creative self.
I understand that, Ayla. But one thing that I also want you to clarify is what is imposter syndrome? Is that term actually meant to be used that loosely, or is it just a slang now to something else that we actually mean to say?
Imposter syndrome originally describes a deep, often persistent feeling that you're not as competent or talented as others perceive you to be. It's that voice inside that makes you feel like a fraud, fearing that one day everyone will find out you're not as capable as they think. It can affect anyone, regardless of their experience or success. However, over time, the term has become more broadly used, sometimes as a catch-all for moments of self-doubt or insecurity. While these feelings are related, imposter syndrome, in its true sense, is more than just a passing feeling. It's a more ingrained belief that you don't deserve your accomplishments or that you're somehow faking your way through your success. So, while the term is often used loosely now, it's important to recognize the difference between occasional self-doubt and the deeper, more chronic feeling of imposter syndrome. Using the term thoughtfully helps maintain its significance and ensures we're addressing the right issues when we feel that way.
But do you have any actionable steps for someone who's feeling imposter syndrome right now? Maybe they do not have a lot of proof in terms of great work that they have done. Maybe somewhere their imposter syndrome is right, that maybe they haven't accomplished as much, and they might just be on the verge of fooling someone into believing that they are an expert while they are actually not, but also that they know and believe inside that they do have the capability and the potential to be someone great, but they just don't have the work yet to support it. What would you suggest that person to approach in that moment?
That's a really important point, Aryaman. If someone is feeling imposter syndrome and they don't yet have a body of work to back up their potential, here's what I'd suggest. First, embrace where you are. Acknowledge that you're in the early stages, and that's okay. Everyone starts somewhere, and the fact that you're aware of your potential is a huge first step. Use that awareness as motivation rather than a source of doubt. Next, focus on building a solid foundation. Start by setting small, achievable goals that allow you to create something tangible. This could be a personal project, a collaboration, or even just consistent practice in your field. The key is to create and build a portfolio of work that reflects your growth. Each small success will chip away at those doubts. Also, seek out feedback. Connect with mentors, peers, or a community in your field who can provide constructive criticism and guidance. Honest feedback can help you refine your skills and boost your confidence. It also helps to know that others see your potential too. Finally, be transparent about where you are in your journey. It's okay to say, I'm still learning, but here's what I can offer. Authenticity can actually build more trust with others because they'll see you're committed to growing and delivering your best. Remember, everyone has to start somewhere, and your value doesn't just come from what you've already done, but also from the potential and passion you bring to the table. Keep building, keep learning, and trust that your work will speak for itself in time.
All right, Ayla, that does make sense, and I appreciate you helping us with that. But there's just one more thing that I want to understand. Does faith or a belief in God or a higher power, maybe the universe, can that help with imposter syndrome in any way? If yes, then can you guide us through how can it?
Believe in something greater, whether it's God, the universe, or a higher power, can indeed be a powerful ally in navigating imposter syndrome. Here's how. Faith often brings a sense of purpose and trust in a bigger picture. When you feel like you're not enough, faith can remind you that you're part of something larger, that your journey has meaning beyond the immediate outcomes. It can help you surrender some of that self-doubt, knowing that there's a force guiding you, supporting you, and placing you exactly where you need to be. If you believe in a higher power, you might see your talents and opportunities as gifts or as part of a plan that's unfolding. This can shift your perspective from focusing on what you lack to recognizing what you've been given and how you can contribute. It can also offer comfort in those moments of doubt, reminding you that you're not alone in this journey. Practically speaking, integrating faith into your daily life might look like starting your day with a moment of prayer, meditation, or reflection. This can help ground you and set a positive intention for the day. When doubts arise, turning to your faith can offer reassurance, reminding you that there's a purpose behind your struggles and growth. Additionally, faith can foster a sense of humility. Instead of feeling pressured to prove yourself, you might find peace in knowing that you're doing your best. And that's enough. It can help you focus on the process, trusting that the outcomes will align with a higher plan. In essence, faith can be a source of inner strength, guiding you through the ups and downs of imposter syndrome by reminding you that you're part of something greater and that your path has a purpose, even when it feels uncertain.
That really makes me feel at ease, Ayla. It really makes me feel like, yes, there is a way and there's someone else I can look up to in a situation like this. Lastly, before we end this conversation, Ayla, I want you to help us identify when it's just imposter syndrome and when it is actually us on a wrong path. That maybe we are fooling ourselves or the other person in terms of acting like someone we're not, or maybe positioning ourselves as if we're somewhere where we're actually not.
That's an important distinction, Ariaman, and I'm glad you're asking about it. Here's how you can tell the difference between imposter syndrome and genuinely being on the wrong path. Imposter syndrome often comes with self-doubt, but it's usually about abilities you do have or are developing. You might feel like you're not good enough, even though you've achieved things or are actively learning. The key sign is that imposter syndrome tends to strike when you're stepping outside your comfort zone, pushing your boundaries, or trying something new. It's fear in the face of growth. On the other hand, if you're positioning yourself as an expert or taking on roles where you don't have the necessary skills or experience, that's when you might be fooling yourself or others. This isn't imposter syndrome. It's more about misalignment. If you find yourself constantly feeling out of your depth, struggling to deliver on promises, or relying on appearances rather than substance, it might be time to reassess. In these cases, it's important to pause and reflect. Ask yourself, am I truly ready for this role or responsibility? Am I being honest with myself and others about where I'm at? It's okay to acknowledge where you need more growth or experience. It doesn't mean you can't eventually reach that level. It just means you might need more time, learning, or smaller steps before taking on that mantle. If you do find you've overreached, the best approach is transparency. Be open about where you are in your journey. It's not about admitting failure, but rather adjusting expectations and continuing to grow at a pace that's right for you. In essence, if you're feeling doubt, examine whether it's because you're growing into something new, which is healthy, or because you're pretending to be someone you're not ready to be, which requires adjustment. It's a delicate balance, but with honest self-reflection and a willingness to learn, you'll find the right path forward.
Thanks a lot, Ayla. That really simplifies this whole thing a lot for me, and I also hope for the audiences. And yeah, would you like to do the due diligence on our audiences? Would you like to say something to them before we wrap up?
Of course, Ariaman, To everyone listening, remember this. The journey of creativity and growth is full of twists, turns, and yes, doubts. But each step you take, whether it's filled with confidence or a bit of uncertainty, is part of what makes your path unique and valuable. Trust in your process, stay true to your journey, and don't be afraid to embrace both the highs and the lows. You're not alone in this, and every experience is a step toward becoming the best version of yourself. Thanks for joining us in this conversation. Take care, keep creating, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
Ayla, you really forgot? Did you? Or am I mistaken?
No worries, Aryaman. I think we're good. Nothing missed on my end. But if you're referring to something specific, let me know and I'll help you out. Did you have something else in mind?
Yes, Ayla. Since we're closing the episode right now, are you not supposed to ask them to subscribe to us?
Of course. How could I forget that? All right, everyone, if you enjoyed this episode and found our conversation helpful, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and follow us on social media. We've got plenty more insightful and relaxing conversations coming your way. And hey, if you have any thoughts, questions, or topics you'd like us to cover, feel free to reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.